Hello everyone, this is Dr. Stephen Shardy and I want to welcome you back to Just a Thought, Biblical Teachings for the Heart and Mind. Today we're going to look at a very interesting character of the Old Testament, and that's Ruth. I think it's one of the most beautiful love stories in the Bible. And if you get the opportunity, I want you to read the story in one sitting. I want you to meditate on the words and marvel at the courage, the commitment, and the confidence of this precious godly woman. But in this teaching, I'm going to focus our attention on the meaning of her name. Now, unfortunately, there is no such word in biblical Hebrew for Ruth, pronounced as root, and scholars cannot agree where it came from. But that does not mean that we can't go back to what is called the Paleo-Hebraic alphabet, used by the ancient Hebrews. As a side note, you may or may not have known, but Moses, that is Moshe, actually wrote in Paleo-Hebrew. Now, when we would do our study here, we're going to discover something very fascinating, especially with respect to Ruth. Check this out. Her name consists of three Hebrew letters, Resh, Wa, and Tet. Resh provides a picture of a head, thoughts, or the highest or the first. And there's the symbol that you can see on the screen. Wa symbolizes a nail, a hook, or even a binding together. And that's the symbol that you see on the screen there for Wa. Tav is a sign, a mark, a signature. It can also be crossed sticks or even to seal. And that's the Hebrew letter Tav at the bottom of your screen. So let's put these pictures together in the context of this story and see what we find. Ruth could possibly mean the highest sign of binding together. The highest sign of binding together. Now some scholars suggest that her name means friend, companion, or a vision of beauty. No doubt, I'm sure that's valid. We're going to base on our initial analysis as it appears that a friend or a close companion truly would be the highest sign of binding together. So, when we go back to the story, it appears that our discovery may be very close to the meaning of her name. We read that Ruth clung to her mother-in-law, Naomi. And that's in Ruth chapter 1 and verse 14. In verses 16 through 18 of that same chapter, she gave her famous vow of companionship, devotion, friendship, and love. We never find any instances of Ruth complaining. We never hear about her worrying. We don't even read about her anger. Keep in mind, when you read this story, she lost her husband, and she would go with Naomi all the way back to Bethlehem. She would leave her people, she left her culture, she left her religion. She obeyed Naomi. That's even more interesting. And she worked with the highest level of integrity and character. And I think that was one of the reasons that Boaz, who turned out to be her kinsman redeemer, found most fascinating about Ruth. She was a woman of her word. She worked with integrity, and she worked out of her character. And she won the favor, that is, grace of Boaz, her kinsman redeemer. And if you recall, we did a study not long ago about grace. Grace not being unmerited favor, but this favor that she demonstrated, she proved, and she gained the respect and honor of Boaz, and grace was granted to her. So, we have done what many scholars could not. We refer to the original letter pictures to find a meaning to a name. And this was done in the context of our story. Amazing, isn't it? Well, this is a short teaching. It was meant to be brief, but I'm always encouraged by others who take the time to learn a little bit more of the ancient language and find out that you are more than able, you are more than capable of doing this same study as I did. Well, until next time, Shalom.